Hello, everybody, and welcome from wherever you're coming in from around the world. As our co-host who is not with us tonight, Maureen, who we excuse, as she often says, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, but we are here today with our co-host Jim and Ann Glenn from San Antonio, Texas. They're so bright and brilliant, and our stockbroker money guy, so he can always help explain how the real world works there. My name is Dr. Lee Osler. I come to you from the state of Washington. And we have tonight a very special, looking forward to this for some time, Jerry Yerke, who has recently joined with our company as an associate after spending many, many years on the corporate side, running network marketing companies. And so we have such a wonderful opportunity to actually kind of drill into the underneath layers, if you will, of how this industry works and to look at it from both sides. So Jerry, as I understand, you're from Southern California right now, even though we've already established you're from the upper Midwest. We'll just put it that way so that we don't create any fights here with the people across state lines, but but we welcome you. And if you could maybe just kind of start it right off and maybe give us in your words a little bit of your story about how you found Asea specifically, and then we can maybe pull back and look at the bigger picture of where you were before that and kind of what that perspective was all about.
That's great. And what an honor and a privilege to be on. Thank you, Dr. Lee. Thank you, Jim and Ann as well. I'm just blown away with your leadership. I've been a big fan of Asea 5 on Friday nights and have enjoyed it very, very much.
Thank you.
Everybody has a story. Every single person that is joining us today, whether they're a guest, whether they're an associate, even Chuck Funky from last week on Friday night, which I just thoroughly enjoyed listening. We all have a story. We're in the story business, storytelling business. And for the one person that did ask, I am from Warren, Michigan. Born and raised, it's a suburb of Detroit. But that's really where the story started, at least for myself. Very much to what Chuck was saying last week. I was very fortunate. A friend of mine shared with me the franchise world. And in the 1980s, if you remember, for those people that were around during that time, the franchise industry was exploding. And I aligned myself with some friends and became one of the largest franchise owners for Domino's pizza stores in the state of Nevada. Great company. It's actually based out of Ann Arbor, Michigan. Many times throughout history, it's been the largest, not only pizza delivery company, but actually the largest delivery company for some time. Now, why do I share that? It's real simple. I still think and act like a franchise owner. If you know anything about the franchise industry, McDonald's is not in the hamburger business. Domino's Pizza is not in the pizza business. They're in the distribution business. And what I thoroughly enjoyed about that industry for about 16 years as a franchise owner, number one, huge, huge investment, millions of dollars, big risk, big commitment. You're married to those stores, to the business, to the employees. At the end of the day, you can only distribute a pizza within 8 minutes of your local store. And then somebody about 15 years into my career shared with me this incredible industry of direct sales, of network marketing. And the light bulb went on for me, meaning global distribution. It's impossible to be, in my opinion, to be a Domino's Pizza franchise owner and have a global footprint. It would be impossible. But in this industry of direct sales, so some 32 years ago, I caught the bug and I became a distributor for a company, several companies, didn't have success right out of the gates, and then actually had quite a bit of success with a company that today, quite frankly, even the lawyers, the legal team at Asea will use as a case study on not how to run a company. There was troubles, FTC, so on and so forth. So that was my experience. And then when I moved to Asia to actually launch a company as a distributor, I fell in love with the corporate side of the business. So for the past 22 years, I've been a corporate executive, everything from chief network officer to vice president of sales to president, all the way from startup companies, and I do mean startup from scratch, all the way to consulting with billion-dollar companies of our industry. So that kind of gives you the full range. And Dr. Lee, since you asked, I'll get right to it. On the corporate side, and it was amazing, 22 years, and really got to develop some of the most incredible relationships. However, I found myself from time to time in between executive positions or between executive projects. And there was one person that, well, let me take one step back. One of the companies that I was an executive for, I got to meet 5 incredible gentlemen: Dan Doyle, John Bash, Mel Sword, Ed Weens, and Bart Cotter. And for those people that are associated with Asea, you know who those people are. And they were distributors. I was on the executive side. That was 2014, 2015. When I left that company as an executive, they also left and they came to this amazing company called Asea. And I followed them from afar. I went from one company to another, building them, helping them have a global footprint. But this fine, humble, generous, just a professional of a man by the name of Dan Doyle, about every 2 years, he would reach out to me and say, here's where we're at. And I was following Asea. And Jim, I was following the growth. I was following what was happening on the sales from a global basis. And he'd say, come on, we're ready. Come over to the side, be a distributor. Let's go build this together. And every single time I would say, Dan, I'm a corporate guy. Can you make a phone call? I would love to be on the corporate team of Asea. And it has to be the perfect timing for that to happen. And it just never did. Well, come this last April, Dan reached out to me again. I was between corporate executive projects, and he invited me to the Vegas event. And I couldn't go to the Vegas event that you both attended, all 3 of you, I believe, attended, but I watched it on the internet. I watched it virtually. And Dr. Lee, for the first time in over 22 years, I looked at Denise and said, this is the company I want to be a distributor for. And over the course of those next 30 days, got to meet the executive team, actually interviewed Ann with one of the executives to see if there was a corporate position open. There wasn't. A wonderful executive by the name of Kelly Rich had just come on to the team. And that's a grand slam right there. I know that. And so there just wasn't the right timing once again. But I said, yeah, I had my aha moment. And I said, this is the company I want to be a part of and go back into the field and build it together with all the great leaders.
So this is what so intrigues me about this, Jerry, because for 2 decades, you have sat in a pilot seat, if you will, of guiding and steering a company, the big picture. And you've seen all the warts, and you've seen all the gold, you've seen all the good and the bad, probably in a very broad cross section. For you to be able to come to a point, knowing what you know, to say what you just said, that if there was any company out there anywhere in the world that you would jump in the deep end with, in the field, that it's Asea. It's like, could you drill into that a little bit more? Like, why? Because none of us get that, because we've never been where you've been. We just kind of look at it from our side, and that's the only thing we know about. Why was that happening that way for you?
That's a great question. And I love telling that story almost on a daily basis. Right now, there's probably 1,000 different reasons that are buzzing through my head, but I'll share one with you. My very first call, basically my first call right after I made the decision, and was very excited about it. I reached out to a gentleman, lives in Phoenix, Arizona area. He was a global leader in one of the companies. I was an executive, and I was all excited, and I was waiting for him to say, "Congratulations, we're excited for you." And he asked me, he said, "Why would you want to do that? And why did you choose Asea?" And it kind of set me back for a second, but only for a second. And here's why. The positives are so very strong. If I could just maybe brag a little bit, kind of share with those guests that are on the call today, it all starts with the leadership. You're exactly right, Dr. Lee. I've seen just a lifetime of corporate executives, the good, let's go back to Clint Eastwood, the good, the bad, and the ugly. There are some tremendous leaders. There's some tremendous owners and leaders in our industry. Unfortunately, there's also some on the other side. But what drew me to Asea and having the chance to study it, not only because of Dan, not only because of John Bash, Ed Weens, Mel Sword, Bart Cotter, the people that I knew personally and followed them and watched them, is when I met and saw on stage, because I used to put on events. What you attended in Vegas, I would go to those events in Europe, in Asia, in the United States, in the most beautiful places of the world, but I'd be working those events. I would be that MC on stage. I'd be the one shaking the hands for the amazing people walking across the stage with their achievements. But when I heard Tyler Norton and a few of the key words that he said, folks, if you're a part of Asea, do not take this for granted. I have not seen this in over 30 years. And I'll just share with you the key things that gave me the aha moment. Number one, he called it next level marketing. I've never heard that in 32 years. And he went on to share how the ethos and how the principles of Asea are changing the industry and changing the verbiage and changing the words and how we communicate. And he shared, if you remember his PowerPoint, going from the old days, 32 years ago, on how we used to communicate the deal or getting into the company, and how he shared with us the next level. Let me just make a very bold statement. I've never seen an executive like Tyler Norton, never. And I'm going to share with you something that on 2 fly-ins that I've experienced, and I believe Chuck actually thought I was going to be there this week, and I let him know that I wasn't. Tyler does something that other people don't do. I've never seen this in 30 plus years. When you go to a fly-in, he knows your name, he knows your bio, he knows all about you, he's seen your picture, and you haven't even shown up yet. And then the very first time he's in front of the room, one by one, you're standing up, he knows your name, he goes throughout the room, and I've heard stories that he's actually done this with hundreds of people, and we all get to know everybody. Folks, that doesn't happen in this industry. He is real, he's energetic. There's a presence of him. He's magnetic. But those little things that I saw, and Chuck explained this very clearly, and I can give you a resounding, Dr. Lee, aha. This company wasn't formed where a couple of people got around together and said, let's start a network marketing company. And then they found a product. It was the opposite. This company, as you know, had a biotech product that nobody on planet Earth to this day has, but we have it. And they decided to use the distribution channel of direct sales and next level marketing. So number one, Tyler Norton. I have not had the opportunity to meet his father. It is on my list. I hope I do have the opportunity so I can thank him personally. Many of you have. I think Jim and Ann, you have. But then if I could tell you Chuck, then Chuck got on stage. In my opinion, Chuck is the perfect CEO. They're the perfect combination. Chuck is what I would call the surgeon. See, Tyler Norton's bigger than life. He's got the personality. He's got the humility. You just want to hug him. Chuck is the surgeon. He's the perfect CEO to complement the leadership of this company. It's about cutting with precision. The voice doesn't get real high. It doesn't get real low. He's just right there. It's all business. It's all welcome. And last week, as you know, and I watched it several times, he said, the product is the opportunity. Both of them have said, this company's not sexy. I wasn't looking for sexy. I've seen sexy. I've watched owners get in the Rolls Royce. I've watched owners jump in their Ferraris. I've watched owners fly in their jet plane and then fly out, and they don't care about Jim and Ann. They don't care about Dr. Maureen or Dr. Lee or about us that are building in the field as well as their executives. You want to know who great executives are? Watch how they treat their employees. Watch how they introduce themselves to the field leadership. So
hey, Jerry.
Between those, yeah.
Yeah, I want to touch on that real quick. Because I want to make it a point that we were down in the Dominican Republic with Tyler, and we were all on a bus together, and he had us play the name game, and he made us do it, and it was so much fun. But what he did is that when he took the team out to a off-site restaurant, and the way that he interacted with the staff, the wait staff, was mind-boggling. And he ended up purchasing a spa treatment for 3 of the waitresses. Again, I'm an ex-stockbroker. I've been around a lot of corporate executives in the public realm, not in the private realm like this. But we say this a lot, Jerry, that this is so unique and may come off, oh, yeah, right. You all say that. But until you really get to experience it, right? It's just, and that's why I love you doing this. It's a fresh, clean look at this. And by the way, I just want to say out there, congratulations on advancing to a new rank. We just got the text from Ed Weems, who we love and adore. He's one of my favorite, and Rebecca and Danny Doyle is going to be on our show in a couple of weeks. But it's just going to be really exciting to watch what you do and how you change. And then I just love what you're doing. So I just wanted to throw that in real quick about Tyler.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It doesn't happen out there. It does not. And one of the things, and then we can move on to something else. He talks about the owner, fashion. When you're in Italy and you travel Italy, and we've got some obviously incredible leadership in Italy, they wear their sweaters, over their shoulder. They look like they're going to a Wimbledon tennis match. And there are owners like that. That's not who Tyler Norton is. Let's face it, principles over profits. Sure, we want to be profitable, and I respect that. But these 2 gentlemen, besides the ones that I know personally from another industry and another network, it was the big difference. And I'm so honored and so blessed to even be sharing this with your platform. Thank you.
So was it so it's the whole package. It wasn't because I came in, I had a bad back. I've had 10 back surgeries. I was addicted to pain pills. My best friend's son had a really serious health issue, and these molecules gave us our life back. And I think you've actually have had an experience with the technology, correct? But that wasn't what but that's not what brought you to this, is it?
It wasn't.
Yes, that's part of it, but that's part of the formula. You had to have something like this, and it's the perfect marriage. Like someone says, it's the perfect storm. But I want to say that in a good way, not a scary way. It's beyond beautiful.
Yeah. Well, somebody that's been in the industry from the corporate side, especially for 20 plus years, there wasn't a week that didn't go by that I wasn't prospected from somewhere, somebody, some company. And it's interesting because as I get to know the Asea family, and it truly is a family, like getting to know you. Dr. Lee and I had a conversation before, and I just loved our time together. But I'm hearing over and over again how people have either tried or heard about the company or heard about Redox. Denise and I actually tried it some 7 years ago and probably didn't even finish one bottle. Yes, it tasted like the YMC pool water. We laughed about it. We get products sent to us all the time and never really thought much more about it. But I will share something with you because I think it's important because there's probably millions of people around the world that have what I have. I have a vascular challenge. It happened with a knee surgery over 35 years ago. I had 6 knee surgeries after that. And there's a chance when you have a surgery like that, sports surgery, that you will develop a vascular situation, a challenge, which means blood flows great down to both legs, great down to both ankles, but the valves are shot and the blood doesn't flow very well back up. So for the last 35 years, I've had to take some medication. It keeps me alive. It makes sure that something doesn't go to different parts of my body. You can probably figure it out through the vascular veins. And here's what happened. For over 30 years, I've been a person that I don't wear shorts very often because on the insides of both of my legs, from my shin, think of like a shin guard for either a football player or a soccer player. From that point down to my ankles and my heels, they've been black and blue for 30 plus years. That's because, like a leaky faucet, blood will drip and it will stay there. Well, May 6th is when I decided to become an associate. Denise and I said yes, and we joined and enrolled with Asea and got very passionate about it. 50 days later, 4th of July weekend, wearing shorts, hardly ever do, she noticed my ankles and actually whispered, "Look at your legs." And when I looked down there, and it's funny because I do take a shower every day, trust me, I do, but I just wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't concentrating on it. But the skin color of both insides of my legs are almost identical to my face right now as I share this with you, which means a tremendous difference in the blood flow, the vascular challenge that I had. And my goal is to eventually get to a point where I do not have to take that medication anymore. So personally, big time effect.
And this, Dr. Lee, this might be the perfect time because there might be a lot of people here that really don't even know what we're discussing, which is the flagship technology to the company called Redox signaling molecules. So, Dr. Lee, would you mind going into a description that I can understand on what this stuff is, please?
And add the disclaimers.
Yeah, the disclaimers.
No.
Yeah,
Please go with that.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to start. And that is that this is what we're talking about is not a cure. It's not a treatment for, and we don't make medical claims about diseases, which is why we speak about these conditions, these health challenges that we have as we do, is to stay compliant with the regulatory authorities that oversee this industry and this space that we're in. So, just make a shameless plug for those who really do want the deep stuff. There's 750 pages with 800 citations that have been written by this silly guy about the science of redox biology and what that really means.
Oh, Lee, you're not silly. Now stop it. We honor you for what you've done for us, and I sincerely mean that you have given us, the world, a gift with Healthy Matters and Redox Matters. So thank you. So I know you don't like doing that yourself, so I had to step in to do that for you.
Well, thank you. It is much easier to be dismissive, I understand, but my brain just had to know. When my wife had the experience that she had, the way I got into this was our physician said, we need to get her on some redox signaling molecules. And I looked at him and said, I don't even know what you're talking about. And he said, just Google it and get some. And that was it. He wasn't a part of this program. He just had heard about it and thought it would be helpful. So I did, and it was like flipping a switch for her. So from that point, I just had to know how the electrons moved. I mean, my brain's kind of intense that way. And so I spent 4 years and did the research. But to make it simple, this is about how our cells function. This is about the signaling, the communication, and cells don't talk to each other like we talk to each other. They obviously don't have brains. They're just responding to chemistry. They respond to levels of oxidation and inflammation and different chemistry that's going on in the cell. And the redox, or the reduction oxidation, that has to do with the state of whether or not a molecule is oxidized or is reduced, again, an electron thing. The cell responds to that by either promoting health or disease. It's kind of a binary switch, if you will, or a platform. And so the idea here is that redox signaling molecules are made naturally, natively in the mitochondria as we burn fuels, glucose and fats and proteins and so forth. And it's those very same redox molecules that for decades everybody said take antioxidants. Jerry's probably been involved with companies, I'm guessing, that has been at the heart of taking antioxidants to save yourself from the damage of free radicals. Well, as it turns out, these redox molecules are also essential for activating the cellular defenses, the things that keep us healthy, that renew our cells, that eat up the bad things that go on in the cell and restore us to normal, which we call homeostasis or balance. When we get out of balance, then we get inflammation and we get all these diseases. These conditions that we talk about, that we have, for which we have medical interventions and medications for, they happen because cells first weren't doing their job. For whatever reason, they were not functioning well. And over time, things slow down. And now we need to take medicines to make up the difference. That's called intervention. So the heart of redox signaling is about prevention. It's about getting upstream at a much higher place in the gene pathways than anybody else anywhere is working on today. That's why this is novel. This is unique. This is a new category. We are actually doing cell signaling. And what this biotech company, created, that Jerry was talking about earlier, was some solutions of creating in a laboratory these very same identical biomolecules that the cell makes, so that we could use them as a supplement. And so when you use that big blue bottle that Asea produces, you are actually consuming a supplement which contains those molecules that kind of replace or replenish the dwindling supply of redox signaling molecules that we're not making so much anymore as we get older. And so that is kind of in a nutshell. The body has an amazing capacity to heal when it's given the right things and the cell is activated in the proper ways. The expression that I've chosen to illustrate that concept is, this is about awakening or waking up the inner doctor, because we all have an quote unquote inner doctor inside each cell, and it knows what to do, but we've got to activate it and get it to communicate. And when it does, then we can restore health, we can renew our cells, and we can prevent a lot of problems. And that was illustrated today very, very ably by Jerry in his story.
Okay, so but real quick, and there's a lot of folks out there, and Jerry, I'm not sure if you dealt with this, but and Anne's going to ask a question next. But come on, Lee. It says it's a dietary supplement made from freaking salt water in Salt Lake City, and it tastes like freaking pool water. Now, Jerry, I got to ask you real quick. What did you think? Did you think Danny and Ed and Mal and
We're nuts.
were crazy? I mean, you tried the stuff and you go, no.
Tastes funny.
What did you think they had done? I mean, did you attempt to have any family interventions? Because Alan Noble said that his family actually was going to have a family intervention to protect him. Did you think they lost it, or what were you thinking 6 years ago when you first heard about it?
Well, that's a great question. And I'm trying to remember back to that time. We were in the middle, and when you're on the corporate side of any industry, and we happen to be running several companies during that time, specifically in direct sales, network marketing. And so it was kind of a taste it, try it, it's not going to happen, put it aside. And then we were up to our eyeballs in the company that we were building. So it was a very quick in out discussion. It wasn't until April, you guys in Vegas, us watching online, and then when Dan had the product sent to us and we enrolled, just like everybody does, and it was fabulous, that we made a commitment. And I've stuck to the commitment every day. For me personally, forget the opportunity, forget everything else. For what it's done for me in 4 months, you can never take it away. And I know people have been saying that, talking with Debbie Wexler, who I just respect so much for one of those first people to say yes. And it's so much easier for now. So long answer to, didn't think much of it, but now can't take it away.
Yeah, Lee, can you just answer real quick? Why does it taste normal to us, and yet for new people that get on it, it may taste not pleasant? Why is that?
Well, we believe that it has something to do with the toxicity level in our bodies.
Okay.
From experience, we've just learned that part of cellular health, part of cellular function, is the ability to detox or get rid of toxins inside the cell. And when your cell's not working well, they're going to build up. You're going to store them, especially in fat cells, especially the fat-soluble toxins. And once the cells start functioning properly like they're supposed to, and the signaling is the orchestra leader finally has the attention of all the instruments in the band, and they start playing on the same page, then all of a sudden the toxins start to detox and they start to find their way out. And it's interesting because the world of detox, you can go out there and get really deep into detox stuff and cleanses and so forth. They're more focused on the pathways that the toxins go through to exit the body. And what we do is we get further upstream, and we're just saying we've got to activate the cell machinery, the mechanisms of action inside the cell that actually makes the toxins go away and goes into those channels for elimination. And so the point to your question is, what we've found is that people who object more to the taste, we just kind of have this experience, under our belt that says they're kind of toxic. And within a few weeks, if they stay with it, they acclimate, they accommodate, and it's not so much anymore. And the other little side hint is there's some people who believe this is more about the smell than the taste. And if you use the 8-ounce pouch, which you have to actually suck on because it has a one-way valve in it, which the runners and athletes really love because they can do it without spilling it, it bypasses the nostrils. And so you don't get the olfactory, sensation of that I won't name it, but it's the chlorine ingredients that is in saline, That's what happens in electrolysis. You're breaking saline apart, just like what's happening in the cell.
We were in Midland last weekend doing a show with the person, and an 18-month-old was there, and they gave her a little cup of it, and she slowly drank it and finished it, and then she came back for more. It was absolutely adorable. I wish I would have videotaped it. Anyway, Ann.
Yeah. So I was thinking about your wife, because, you had mentioned before we started the show that y'all are doing it together. Jim and I do it together. So it's great to have each other's support. So you've been kind of following them for 6-7 years. We started 7 years ago. So you've seen, at least from afar, you've heard, they went from just Asea, and then of course Renew 28 was about 6 months before we started, and then it propelled to the Via line, and then this year y'all came in such good timing right after Vegas was Cell Performance and our advanced skincare. So you're seeing, improvement, and I know many companies, it's always questionable, are they even going to make it to the 5-year mark, much less now it's 13 years. So for your wife, I mean, I don't know if she'd been following the whole time. Here she sees it from Zoom in April, and I'm sure she's seen a lot of nutritional lines, and she's seen a lot of skincare lines. And none of those, because I have a degree in nutrition science and I've seen a lot of products, none have intracellular repair like redox signaling. And we know redox signaling makes everything you do for good health better. And so I'm sure she's seen a lot of stuff. And then here you get your big box, and now you're opening up like a Christmas gift. So now y'all have to start it. What was kind of her, okay, she gets this blue bottle, and then she gets the Renew, and then she has the skincare. I mean, all these things that she's got to kind of incorporate now in her schedule. I mean, I switched to everything Asea. So how has her experience been from April, starting all these, we only have 13 products, so, but they're all cellular repair. It's got to be very exciting to go from, I know a little bit about one of your companies and that line, to now native to the body, we power potential. I mean, kind of tell us, where she is on all this.
And your journey as well.
And you shared a little bit because you've already had an experience, but don't know anything about Denise yet.
Well, let me just put it this way. I'm laughing inside because there are multiple people on this Zoom right now that know her through Asea and other companies. Let me just share something with you. Denise could probably run 95% of every network marketing company in the industry. We met at a company launch. I was VP of sales. She was a new distributor. That's where we met. So for all you people out there, go to events. Events drive the business, but you never know what might happen. So the point is this. Like I shared with Jim earlier, when I go to Utah, Salt Lake City, Tyler doesn't ask me, Jerry, how you doing? What's going on? His first words are, where's Denise? Yeah. So with that in mind, she helped me for the last 15 years build companies from scratch. So she knows back office, she knows product line, she knows compensation plans. Those guys that wear the t-shirts, why do I need Google? All I need to do is ask my wife. That is how it is at our home. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm very, very blessed, and everybody knows that. So the point being is that, and that's a great question. So first, like myself, the Redox really won us over. And then immediately the Renew 28 did. She saw and experienced where mine was from the inside out, meaning Redox. Hers big aha moment was probably with the Renew 28. Shoulder challenges, couple of aches, the normal challenges that we go through. Skincare line, loves it, is deep, not only into all aspects of the actual product line, but actually as helping build the business, sharing it with friends. When I'm on an appointment, she'll pick up, talk to all of our team members. So, I'm the most blessed guy to be in this industry, in this company, because of a partner. And that isn't, not everybody has that. I have dear friends that are doing it on their own, and it is a struggle. But I watch the two of you and have watched on Friday nights. You guys are phenomenal together. It's a perfect team. And I, like Jim, is truly blessed to have a partner like that. So hopefully that answered a little bit about it. But
That's awesome.
we've both experienced the amazing results.
You know, Jerry, the reason we do a lot of this is medical, what we do with the Asea 5. And this to me, like what we had Chuck last week and now you, then we have Danny coming up in a couple of weeks. But corporate wise, this is so important for people, even if you don't care about networking or next level marketing, even if that's not important to you, you need to make sure that the company you start taking their product is going to change your life.
Right.
Like this will at a level like nothing else. You want to make sure they're going to be in business. You want to make sure it's a legacy. It's not just a quick get rich, then the executives and the ownership sell, they're out, company changes. And I'm sure you've seen your fair share of that, as I have on Wall Street. But what we have here is so unique. I mean, we only have 13 products. Is that kind of, how do you see that as compared to other companies?
Well, you just brought up a couple of really great points, Jim. And also, I loved when you asked Chuck last week, what did Jerry see? Why did he pick Asea? So I'll talk just about a couple of things, but definitely come back to what you were just mentioning. Number one, it goes back to Tyler again. Tyler shared with us at our last event the soul of Asea, the soul. Okay, I've been in this industry for 32 years. Not one owner that I've ever been associated with in over 32 years has said, let me share with you the soul of the company. That's huge. And then he went on to share, what does opportunity mean? Do you realize how many times we all across the world say the word opportunity? I've got an opportunity. I joined an opportunity. I did this opportunity. In 32 years, I just found out from Tyler at the last trip what the word opportunity actually means. Look it up. It means open port, and how your ship has to have the right tide, the right wind, the right sail to come in to that port to be open. I've never heard that before. So to hear the leadership really share with that. Now, Jim, here's what, to get to your point, with all the companies we've been associated with personally, companies that didn't even make it 5 months after launch, $1 million invested, it's not enough. Companies that made it maybe 2 years and then failed and fizzled. Companies that made it to a certain point. Here's what really drives it home for me personally, being a part of the industry on the corporate side. And I want to share this to the brand new person or the person that's on this today that has not said yes to Asea. This is a 13-year-old company. It has seen the good and the bad. They've stuck with almost all of that time with one product. So they've already gone past that tipping point, or that, they've matured into that 13-year, and to see the sales and to follow it, it's public. You can see it go up every single year. And then here's what hit it for me. Two things, and thanks, Jim, for bringing this up. Asea company globally last year did close to 200 million in revenue. I have followed for the last 22 years on the executive side. When a company hits the 100, then the 200 million mark, it shortens the gap to reach a $500 million. And then it even shortens again to reach the billion mark, which is where everybody wants to be, wants to hit. It's the Michael Jordan of the industry, so to speak. So we're in the sweet spot. And a person like Debbie, a person like Lee, a person like Dr. David, Alan Noble, Jim, and Ann, Dr. Maureen, you've had the hardest time of Asea. For me, back office, all the tools, everything, the application, the compensation plan, the leadership in place, these kinds of support calls all of these things already in place. We don't have to do it. Well, can you only imagine what's going to happen 2 years from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now? Redox will be a household name, and that's what the future holds for us. So, Jim, those are just a couple of the points. And the product line, if I could just end on this for this one question.
We're going to run out of time. We need to go another hour, Lee.
I love that there's only this much product.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When I heard about Redox and, of course, Renew 28, I said, I'm in, because that's perfect. It's a sweet spot.
Yeah.
The thing we have to remember, and this is really important for me in my background as being on Wall Street, that Virtus Norton, the most strategic planner on the planet, and I've kind of have revised my PowerPoint that I do weekly, talking about the mega trends and then the genesis of Asea. But he had structured growth, not runaway growth, which how many companies have you seen that had a hot product? Man, they took off like a scalded cat and then they're dead and gone. But Virtus Norton, with his strategic genius like no one else on the planet, he had it staged and he knew where we were going to be and when. And that's why for me and for us, whatever we come out with as a company, I know with Chuck and Jerem and Tyler and everything that we have, I trust it. And I could never say that back in my old life as a stockbroker. I trusted hardly nothing that the corporate, the Payne Webers and UBSs and all that you got to question everything, right? Because they're trying to make money, off the broker and off their clientele. But here, it's a whole different game. And by the way, we will always remain privately owned, which is a significant thing for me. If they ever go public, like I told Virtus, that was the first question I asked him. Will you ever go public? Never. Privately held, family owned, it'll never go public. And that's a huge deal. But that the planned growth is significant to build the base, to build the systems, to build everything. And you lucky son of a gun that you come in right now when we've done all the hard work.
And thank you for that, by the way.
Oh, we love it. It's given us a whole bunch of experience, but speak to that as far as being able to trust your corporate team that what they come out with, and we know it's not going to be we'll never have 100, 200 products, but whatever we have is going to be intended to give us, I'm 65. I know we're real close in age. We played basketball and I've got some old injuries as well, but you know what? I want to live the best life that I can for what time God's given me on this earth. And the only way I'm going to do that is to get this back into my life, have hope. But now I know I'm doing what I need to do to give me optimal potential to live the best life that I can into my hundreds. So, anyway, I'm rambling now. So go ahead.
Well, to answer that the best way I can, some of the best years I ever had was when I lived downtown Chicago, Illinois. And I had the extreme privilege of being on about the 40th floor of an apartment complex. And I watched a certain tower being built. And because I was up high, I could see what was going on underground. And why I'm bringing that up is because it's all about the foundation. Chuck, Tyler, Nordis, the ethos of this company is not to be here today, gone tomorrow, to reach $1 billion and be down to 100 million the next year. It's steady growth, but it's the foundation. And I watched this particular building, and for the first 4 years, when you'd walk by it, you couldn't see anything. But from my apartment complex, I could see the foundation. And today, I don't know, it's 60, 70, 80 stories high. That is Asea. We are still in the foundation. And Jim, you just brought up a great point to me. I have a dear friend that I hired from one of my companies for an event to be a speaker. This particular woman has been in the industry. She's been a global president of a humongous company. And today she's a speaker in the direct sales industry. goes from company to company. I called her when this all happened with my life with Asea. And she said, what company did you decide to align yourself with? And I told her. She said, I've never heard of that company.
Wow.
Now, for me, that was the best confirmation I needed to hear. She's
Right.
a 40-year industry mega giant. She was the CEO of a company that was one of the biggest in skincare of all time. She speaks to companies around the world. She had never heard of Asea. So again, that is an amazing position to be in right now with Redox.
Absolutely. Go
Jerry?
ahead. One last question I'm going to close with. So go ahead, Lee.
Yeah, Jerry, there might be a lot of people, maybe even health professionals watching this or who will watch this who wonder why it's being marketed the way it is. We've kind of hit around that. We've danced around that. We've talked about the industry, but when you bring this together, why can't I get this from my physician? Why isn't this coming from a pharmaceutical rep? Why is this not controlled and regulated? You know, could you maybe touch on that for just a minute from what you understand as to why these great leaders you've talked about chose this strategically as the way to distribute it? Like, what's the merit there?
I think to summarize it, and there's no magic pill to it, Dr. Lee, but at the end of the day, you see Top Gun, the movie, you tell all your friends about it. There's no question. You go to a favorite restaurant, you tell all your friends about it. There's something magical, nothing greater than word of mouth, friends telling friends, referring. It's just the way it works. It worked with one guy, telling 12 others, and look at where we're at today. So for me personally, it's the greatest way of distribution. No Wall Street money, no Fifth Avenue advertising. And I do believe that Nordis, Tyler and the family, it was brilliant for them to use this as the business model.
So here is I want you to talk as you do, which is so peaceful and inviting. There's a lot of people out that will listen to this now and in the future, Jerry, that have entrepreneurially minded. They maybe have had a business or they've done networking in the past, and they're going, I'm just tired. I don't know if I can get on that horse and do it one more time. Can you talk to them and why should they do this? Why should they give it one more shot?
Wow, that's a big one. Number one, as Chuck said, our product is the opportunity, and I believe that. But I also have a very entrepreneurial makeup. That's my DNA from the franchise industry. And so it's a wonderful balance between the two. But even the short time that I've followed and studied what you all have done with Asea, and I've heard the stories of people that didn't have success at other companies, and I could name 5 or 6, 7, 8 of them, that some of the top income earners of Asea, they didn't have success somewhere else. And I'm going to share 2 things because I have to get this in. Timing is everything. Yeah. Timing wasn't right for me 7 years ago. And almost every day I go to sleep, Dr. Lee, and I say, oh my goodness, why didn't I say yes to Dan 7 years ago? But you know what? It wasn't the right time. And now's the right time. So we never know. The other thing is that this is so unique. And I believe where the company is positioned with the product, there are going to be many people that weren't successful in another company, opportunity, network, whatever it might be. But this could be that right one for them. And they're going to have to experience their own story. But I want to close on this because some people like Ann always ask me, Jerry, what are those 1 or 2 things you want to tell people? And I'll end my portion at this. Number one, don't compare yourself with anybody. I struggle with this. There are people that have joined Asea about the same time I did. They're gold, they're platinum, they're on their way to diamond. And I just think the world of that. And I'm celebrating with them. But be yourself. There's only one you. Be you. I believe this company is open for all of us. Not everybody can be Dr. Lee. Not anybody can be with that wonderful Texan accent like a Jim and an Ann. It's impossible. Just be you. And then this is the most important for me. People don't care what you know. They only want to know you care. Once you wrap your arms around that and really make that your daily mantra, I believe you can have success, whatever success is for you, if with our product, with our company, with our business model, and just share the miracles of these molecules.
That's fabulous. I wanted to add really quick to that, only because I'm thinking of when you had said, you very rarely meet the owners, the founders. And when we sat with Vertus and Bonnie years ago at the dinner table, I mean, we got to have a real conversation with them. So it really does. It's wonderful that we got that blessing. And then the other thing I was thinking is when you learned about next level marketing, when we first heard that, we were just thrilled, and how he emphasizes care more about people, be interested in the people more than you're looking to be interesting. And then, and then he would continue to say, be present, not have this great presentation, just be present, be there for people. And then, of course, the blessings flow. And so it's very exciting to hear your story. You're early on, and we're really excited to see what the future is going to be. And it was neat to see today, because I go to Dream Struggle every day because for our own team and for other people to cheer them on, and to see your name and your two D700s. It was neat to see that, because I had not been seeing that. So I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of that in that page. So,
but Maureen said this last week with Chuck, and I grew up on a farm up in Ohio, and you drop that pebble and you see the ripple effect. And what's so amazing is that, she as a doctor and Lee as a doctor can only help so many people.
right.
But yet when we help someone, when someone joins, they have their pebble to drop.
Yeah,
And their ripple.
absolutely.
And it just keeps going. And that's how we can change the world. And so many people, Jerry, and I know you know this, and where we were financially, and I truly believe you were not there, but we were in a bad place. And there are a lot of people that are listening right now that are going, guys, I'd love to take your product, but I just can't afford it.
Yeah.
And that's where we sit down with people and we show them, well, how hungry are you? And I love Les Brown, and you got to be hungry. And people that are hungry can change the world. So this has really been special. I have a feeling we're going to have you back here soon, Jerry, because and I think people are going to want to just track how you're doing, but it's also the lives that you're changing and the hope that you're giving people, because we have something so unique that, like I keep sharing, if somebody would have come into my office back at Principal, wherever I was at Prudential, and said, well, yeah, I've got this technology, I'm the president of a company and we have a technology that heals everything alive.
Yeah.
I would have said, you're crazy,
Sure.
right? Really? Sure, I just didn't fall off that turnip truck. But yet, with Dr. Lee's help, and that we're able to validate everything, and then with Alan Noble and what he's blessed us with all the validation stories and all the amazing training modules. And then you get people like Danny Doyle and Mal Sword and Ed Weens and that group that really showed us how to treat people.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't seen another team do what Danny and Mal and Ed and Rebecca do. And now to see you doing that, it inspires me. it inspires us to really give it our best, because, you know, what we have left can be such a joy. But so many people where I had no hope, Jerry, with my back issues, being addicted to pain pills. I didn't have any hope until a friend called me and said, Jim, I need to come over.
And that's what it takes.
And that changed our life. And I can't wait to hear the success for you, Jerry. So, Lee, is there anything you want to close up with?
No, I just want to say thank you to Jerry. You know, when we talked a month or so ago, I knew this was going to happen. And I'm so impressed, as I've said earlier in the webcast, with your analysis, you know, with the uniqueness of your perspective, which is very different than any of ours, where you've seen the inside, you know, the inside of the monster, as we say, the industry, with all of its warts and all of its good stuff, and you're able to stitch this together and connect the dots for us and validate it in ways that we simply couldn't do. So I salute you for that. I thank you for that. I thank you for also being vulnerable. You know, it must be in some people's minds kind of a step down, you know, to come off the throne, as it were, and to enter where the serfs are. There's a mentality with that. But it's, you know, this, as Jim and Ann were talking about, the ripple effect. This is so much more powerful than any one of us can do, because this is the essence of how cells work. I mean, that's why, as I said earlier, this is a new category. And so I just salute you for helping us to facilitate that, and to, you know, to better get our heads wrapped around why this, why now. And you're right, timing is everything. So my last comment to those watching would be, you know, whoever you are, wherever you're at, whoever talked with you, whatever your situation is, if the timing's right, do what my physician told us. It's like, just go get some. I think it'll help. It's like, find somebody who can help facilitate getting into this, who can facilitate helping you, you know, to coach you, mentor you, show you the right places to be, and come join with us, because there's a world of people out there who need some help. So thank you, Jerry.
Yeah.
Thank you for the honor. I appreciate it so much.
And real quick, I want to put out there, please respect the person that invited you to come. Mm-hmm. Please do not go to Amazon. That's cutting us out, and that's not right. 2, do not believe everything you read on Google. There is good information there. There are also people out there that don't want this to succeed. There is, believe it or not, stuff called fake news. Don't do it. Get back. We have all the research. Like I say, we have evidence that demands a verdict. You may not want to believe it, but with Dr. Osler, with again, what Alan Noble's done out there with real Redox results, we have all the testimonials, we have all the facts. It's either true, or everybody on here, we're liars and we're fakes. And you can't go out and patent salt water. And guys, this is too real. Don't miss this. Just get on the private. Please just get back to the person that brought you into this. Give them a call back. Respect that. We do this as a paying it forward type thing, and we just respect Jerry Yerke for joining us tonight. It's been an absolute honor to have you here. Can't wait to meet you. And your wife. And Denise.
We need to have you back before you're on that diamond train going so fast you pass us up. So we'll have to have you back really soon.
So Asea family, invited guests, get on the product. Give it time. Don't do it for a week or two. Yeah. Give it 3 to 6 to 9 months. It takes time for your body to do the healing. Don't put a time clock on God. God will fix you if you give it time. And so, guys, with that, we thank you. This video will be up on Redox Matters in a matter of about an hour, if not a little bit sooner. So please invite people to go there to get a copy of the video. It will also be in Asea United. So Jerry Yerke. Next week, we have Dr. Dick Walker. He's always one of the fan favorites. He's very down to earth, and he's so nutritional. He does everything with self-performance as well. So we're looking forward to having Dr. Hayes back with us next week as well.
Be great.
So thank you guys.
Thanks,
God bless
Jerry.
everybody.
Appreciate
Bye,
it.
Thank you, Jerry.
everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
See you soon. Bye-bye. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye-bye.